Josh Redman here. Brand new edition of Around the Stable here, joined this evening by brand new Mustangs head coach Ben Krause. Ben, good to finally kind of sit down and chat with you a little bit and talk about the upcoming season.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I appreciate it.
And looking at the upcoming season, while you're no stranger to being a head coach, we're going to or being a coach, going to rip the Band-Aid off here. Mustangs are an organization you're familiar with. You having played for them 83 games, 5 goals, 13 assists, 18 points, couple game winners, couple power play goals. So kind of a jack of all trades on the ice. But first things first, how did it feel and how did like when it finally sank in when they offered you the head coaching position and you accepted, how did that feel to you to like know that you'd made it in?
It was amazing. To be honest, when Jean Guy first offered me the position, I thought he might have been joking a little bit, but quickly learned that he was serious, and it was an easy decision to make. Um, like you said, I've been around this organization for a long time. I grew up in Peoria, dreamed of playing for the Mustangs, and was lucky enough to accomplish that in my career. And to have the chance to lead this team as a head coach is just an amazing opportunity that I'm extremely grateful to have, and very proud to be part of this organization again, and hope to bring them a lot of success that they've had throughout their storied history here.
And a lot like now general manager Blake Ortman, you played college hockey, so you advanced up the rungs of the ladder there from juniors to college. Do you feel that that's like gonna be one thing that you're gonna be really good at too, is because you know what it takes to get to that level, and then you know what it takes to like get into that level?
Yeah, I think so. Just our organization as a whole does a great job of moving players on to the next level, whether it be tier two juniors or college hockey in the ACHA or NCAA Division III or even Division I with players like Dylan Bentley, who we've had in recent years. Um, but yeah, having that experience playing junior hockey and making the jump to the ACHA definitely will help me out with this. I'll be able to kind of guide the players in a way that will help them, and hopefully will lead their careers to further success.
And in the realm of coaching, you're obviously no stranger to it, having helped it Bradley with their program with head coach Mike Gertler there, and then helping with the Mustangs travel programs, the 12U through 18U. How do you think that that experience, diverse experience, is going to help and all mesh in to be have a successful season this coming season?
I think just being able to work with all the different age groups, like you said, 12U through 18U and the travel organization, and then being able to coach college hockey, which is young men just coming out and being individuals for the first time in their lives. It definitely gives me experience for this year. A lot of the kids are living away from home for the first time, and that's something that they have to deal with. So being able to help them in that aspect and just make them feel as comfortable as they possibly can here. Peoria has always been a home for me, and I just want to make it feel like a home for all of our players as well.
And on that aspect of coaching, I mean, in all honesty, you have a pretty darn good group of guys with Blake and Ort and Gee and Mike Gertler. All them guys, I always kind of like to say when you get them guys in a room and get them talking hockey, if you don't learn something, you're not paying attention. And how does that feel knowing that you have guys like that supporting you and kind of there to lean on to bounce ideas off of and kind of learn and progress yourself?
No, it's amazing. We have a great support staff here. I've known Jean Guy for going on almost 15 years now. Blake and I grew up both playing in the Peoria travel hockey program here, so I've known him pretty much our whole life. And then I've known Steve Ortman as well just as long. They're all great people. Mike Gertler is awesome. He taught me a lot last year with Bradley hockey. And like you said, just sitting down with any one of them, if you don't learn something, you're not paying attention because all of them have just a tremendous hockey knowledge that they're they're not only willing to pass down to others, like they're excited about it as well when other people take an interest and want to learn the game of hockey, and they just have so much knowledge that it's they've forgotten more about hockey than I will ever remember. So it's awesome just to have them as support.
Yeah, that is one thing with like Ort and Gee, just when them two talk, man, oh man, I think I've learned more in the 8.5 to 9 years I've been around like Gee and Ort than I learned about hockey watching TV or reading books or just looking stuff up on Google. It's pretty impressive when you get, especially you get them two guys in a room bouncing stuff around. It kind of makes my head spin a little bit, but I don't think about the game on a level a coach does because I'm obviously play a different role within the organization. Looking at it, we might as well walk across the hot coals right now because camp is tiptoeing on us. It's going to be here rather quickly.
Yep.
What's one thing heading into your first camp? What's one thing that you're going to be looking for with a lot of these young men being first year guys at this level?
I think just compete level for a lot of them and attitude are two big things that I think every coach kind of looks at. And even if you're fairly new to an organization or whatever, just if you find a kid that competes and has a good attitude for the game, he's usually probably going to be a good kid for you. And I think we have a good group coming back with some of our returners. And, we got a lot of new kids coming in as well. We have some local talent in as well, too, that I think is really going to help us. And, you know, uh, with me being a first year head coach and us having some young talent, it might be a struggle at times, but the group we have with the veterans coming back and the experience we have in our coaching staff and front office, I think we're still going to have a lot of success this year and have a lot of positives on the ice.
And you actually segued into my next thing bringing up is, hot off the presses, Jordan Minnie re-signing. You have Johnny Schweitzer is re-signed. And obviously, there's still plenty of time. There could be several more returners coming back. A guy like Connor O'Loughlin that came in midway through the season last year. But you get them guys, especially a guy like Johnny Schweitzer that has played. This is going to be his, I think, third season. Man, I should know this, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be his third season.
Yeah.
And his ability to have a breakout season is, I mean, he's right there teetering on a breakout season. Do you expect more out of a guy like him coming in and being like, hey, you may not have a letter on your sweater, but I want you to be a guy that leads?
Oh, 100%. I've known Johnny since I started coaching in the Peoria Travel Organization, and he's always been the hardest worker on and off the ice. I mean, the dedication he has is just outstanding. He's he does everything right, and like you said, he's right on the edge of a breakout year. I thought last year he made a bunch of strides in his game, and he produced a lot, and he got a lot of playing time last year and grew his game. So I think this year it's just going to be even better. And just like you said, even if he doesn't have a letter on his chest, he's still going to be a huge role for us this year. He's going to be a big leader. He's not a very vocal kid, but he leads by example. He does all the right things. He does the little things that helps the team win. And he puts the team first, and that's the kind of kid he is, and that's what we're looking for here in this organization.
And kind of looking at the season coming up, with camp, and then you have I think 2.5 to 3 weeks, and we get right into it. We put the guys on the boat and we set sail in the season. 8 of our first 10 games are at the Owen Center, and of those 8, we have like well, 4 straight weekends because we have an off weekend sandwich in there, but our first 6 games are at home. How do you think that works at an advantage of young guys coming in that have never had, travel and long bus rides and hotel stays and having to go into a building where, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of the buildings in our division are unfriendly territory.
Yeah. Pretty hostile buildings in our division. Hasn't changed much from my career, but I think that just makes playing on the road all more fun. But no, having those first 6 games at home is definitely going to be huge for us. It's going to give those kids who aren't used to, like you said, living away from home or the travel, get them used to the game, get them used to the speed, what they need to do to prepare for games and stuff like that. Is just going to give them an extra 2 or 3 weeks to kind of get themselves in the right mindset to prepare for the rest of the season. And I think after those first 6 weeks, when we start going on the road a little more, we're just going to hit the ground running and hopefully have a lot of success.
And as I mentioned, that for the first half of the season, right before we flip the calendar to 2025, a real home heavy first half of the season. Looking at, the Central Division as a whole, tough division last year. I'm going to say probably the toughest division in the NA3HL. Granted, there was no Fraser Cup coming to the Central Division last year because there were some really good teams in other divisions. But looking at this division with a team like Wausau that's really up and coming, West Bend that's really up and coming,
Mhm.
you know, I'm not going to say St. Louis is up and coming. That's yet to be seen. We've had a
Yeah.
ton of success the last 4 seasons against St. Louis, but an old foe coming back into the division with Rochester, with Oregon leaving. uh, Like, does it excite you knowing with a team like Rochester and how good the games have been against Rochester that they're back in the Central Division?
Oh, definitely. Like you said, the Central Division is extremely challenging. It seems like every year there's a team from the Central that can win the Fraser Cup and or at least make the run for it. And then you mentioned St. Louis; they've been our longtime rivals, so we don't like to lose to them. I've always said we can lose every other game as long as we win the 8 that we play against St. Louis. Um, Obviously, we want to win more than 8, but beating St. Louis is one of the goals that I have this year, just because they've been that rival for us. We always play good, tough games against them. Um, and then everyone else in the division is going to be tough as well. Rochester is extremely challenging. They always have great teams. Going on the road to play there is always tough as well. So they have a good barn to play in. So yeah, just really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really challenging season, but I think with the group we have coming back and the new guys we have coming in, we're going to be just fine. Um, I think it's going to be a great year for us, and we're going to compete really well.
And circling back to St. Louis, kind of a funny point, like you mentioned, you could lose every game as long as you beat St. Louis in all 8. And last season, last game of the regular season, down in Afton, Mustangs coming out on top. And when we were leaving, defenseman Zach Lacoste walked by me, gave me a wink and a pat on the chest. He goes, "That makes 22, right?" And I said, "It is 22, Zach." So coming up this season, just keep that in mind, Mustangs fans. 22 straight victories against these
Okay.
St. Junior Blues. So yeah, I been keeping pretty close tabs on that. I got a crash course from Mitch McPherson my first year on St. Louis, and I'm not going to repeat what he said because it is not family friendly. But hey, we
Oh,
know how the Peoria St. Louis rivalry goes. But getting in, looking at the schedule, nothing really like we had last year where we played 5 games in 5 days, and then that actually equated into a stretch where we played 7 games over a 9-day span with the NA3HL showcase, which
hmm
to me was, kind of bonkers. But looking at the longest stretch here is, 2 games up in Tomah, Wisconsin, and then 2 games up in West Bend, Wisconsin, 2 games in Rochester, Minnesota, and then 2 games in Wilmer, Minnesota. Looking at that stretch from the 10th of January to the 1st of February, and it being kind of later in the season, and obviously nobody knows how things are going to stack up. But when you get to that point with some of these rookie guys, do you know like how you're gonna like keep their motivation going and everything churning through that tough stretch of road games?
I think it's just something we're gonna have to see. Like when it happens, we'll deal with it. But talking to the coaching staff, we're gonna try and do a good job of just keeping the boys uh together as a big group this year. We're gonna try and do a lot of off ice activities to keep the boys just together and gelling. And then if we get to that point, it just taking care of your bodies, taking care of your mental um, toughness at that point. If we need to take off days, we will. The kids will be going for a long time at that point. So it's just making sure we're taken care of, getting some rest if we need it. But we have a great coaching staff. We have a great strength and conditioning coach in WT Franklin. He owns the Gorilla Pit Gym and does all the workouts with the boys. So he's going to do everything he can to make sure that they're in shape, staying as injury free as possible, and just when we get there, we'll cross that bridge and grind it out. That's kind of what hockey is just grinding it out sometimes when it gets tough and hoping the hockey gods reward you.
And then looking at the schedule, last bit on the schedule here, because obviously, like you said, yeah, we can't look into the future. We don't know, it's a game by game scenario. But to end the season, something that a lot of these young men haven't been through, and me being around hockey for several years, it's something that you always talk about, but a beautifully orchestrated 3-3 to end the regular season there at the beginning of March, and it's a home and home and home against St. Louis. So again, you're going to be stacking up a lot of windshield time in a very short amount of time. The 7th, 8th, and 9th of March is that series. And is that something like you're looking forward to? And again, I mean, like I said, we know that we don't know how that's going to play out, but is that something that as a coach you're looking forward to? Is kind of that to end the season, a little bit of maybe adversity before the possibility of hitting the playoffs?
Yeah, definitely. Playoffs is our goal this year. So being able to have that 3-3 series with a team that we have a great rivalry with is just going to be awesome to get us prepared. If we're in that spot to be playing in playoffs, it's going to be a great series. It's going to be a playoff tempo series to get ready to go. And um, like you said, it's just playing against St. Louis to end the year is not a better way than that. So I'm all right with it.
I agree 100%. And now kind of, on to some more coaching related stuff, being as your first year head coach and kind of getting your feet wet in junior hockey as a, behind the bench. What's something, when you got the job and you sat back and you kind of processed everything and thought, what was one of the first things in your mind that you're like, this is a goal that I'm going to set for myself for this season?
Definitely playoffs. I know we missed them last year, so it's always a bummer when you can't play that extra hockey in the springtime. So that's my first goal is to just make playoffs and then just develop the kids as much as I can. We want to turn them into great hockey players, but we also want to turn them into great young men as well. So when they're out in the world, they can represent Peoria and represent the Mustangs with pride and make us look good as well. So just making playoffs and doing what I can to develop these kids for their goals and what they want to do in life.
And before we part ways here, what is one thing you want to tell the fans and you want to convey to the fans and when they're out at the Owen Center that you want them to know about this year's Mustangs team?
Just we're gonna do everything we can to bring wins to you guys and just play good, hard hockey. We're always gonna fight this year. I my philosophy is we're not going to win every game, but as long as we're trying 110% every game, the fans are going to appreciate it. They're going to see that you're giving the effort and they're going to be there for you. So, we're just asking the fans to show up and be loud for us this year. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everything you guys have done for us over the years, whether it's the boosters, just the season ticket holder fans that come to every game. the fans that come to one game, you guys are all important to us, and we appreciate every one of you. So just show up, be loud, and we'll do our best on the ice to make you guys proud.
And Mustangs fans, that is brand new head coach Ben Krause. Don't forget, Mustangs fans, as well. Mustangs camp August 16th through the 18th, and that home opener September 13th at 6 o'clock. Puck scheduled to hit the ice. Wausau Cyclones in town. Keep an eye on our Facebook, our Twitter, YouTube, all that good stuff for any information that's coming out. I know I got with General Manager Blake Ortman this week. We're gonna have some contests for some free tickets, some trivia stuff for free tickets. Just trying to get the fans involved. If you want to come out to camp the 16th or the 17th and 18th, come on out to the Owen Center and cool off, because I'm gonna guess it's probably gonna be pretty hot. Come into the Owen Center, cool off, kind of see the on ice product there at a glimpse, and then be sure to, as I said, be sure to hit that home opener September 13th. It's a Friday, 6 o'clock start against the Wausau Cyclones in town. Until next time, I think Blake Ortman, general manager, is going to be with us on the next episode of Around the Stable. But until then, Ben, thanks for your time. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. I appreciate you taking the time as well.
This is Around the Stable, Peoria Mustangs Coaches Show.